Well, g'day. Greetings again from here in the deep south, bottom of the world, not too far from the easternmost part of the Australian mainland. This is your flat earth partner in crime coming to you live, only pre recorded and uploaded later. I'm just here to toot my own horn. Haven't done it in a while. I try to remain modest, reasonably modest. But over the last few days and period of weeks, I've become involved in the most peculiar of places of having a really good discussion where you would least expect, and that's the place where you least expect it. But well, you'd expect it the most because you least expect it. You know, if you flip that around in your head several times, um, as I even said in the thread, and I'm going to provide a link to it. It's a Facebook thread for somebody I wouldn't have a clue who it is, posted this really cool video of this street performer. Looks like a Filipino or some Asian country. And he does these really cool magic tricks. And of course, they're not magic, they're illusion. They're, clever cigarette tricks, false thumb where he hides cigarettes in and all the rest. But the one that got me was how he makes the cards spin around and go all the way around him with nary a nod to his head. And so it made me question. And, my initial comment was actually off the cuff. I hadn't thought it through at all. And I made it and I said, the summoning of demons is a high price to pay for a soul in return for, some cheap entertainment and some financial reward. Now, of course, I was right, but I wasn't particularly right about this particular street performer. I was off. I was wrong. And I retracted my statement eventually. I swallowed a bit of humble pie and came back sometime later and said, look, I retract my initial statement, but that's not to say it doesn't happen and that people don't do it. And yes, I'm on the top shelf tonight. Good old original Cooper's Sparkling Ale. Shout outs and chuck me some free cartons, Coopers, please. I don't get to drink the real stuff too often. I make my own, but nothing compares to that. So, it's been an interesting discussion, and as I said to this Japanese fellow today in response, because he was very polite and asked me to, help him out on some of the things, I ended up making it into a flat earth discussion, which is basically where it's at the moment. So it's really cool and funny, and maybe I'll have to, I'll just send you the link, because whatever people shoot at me, bang, I've got double shields up. I can... They think they've got me because they understand me. They think I'm a Bible basher because I mentioned something biblical or spiritual. I'm not a Bible basher at all. I even mentioned in one of my comments, the only reason you'd find me carrying around a Bible is because I thought I might get myself caught short in the bush and I had no other form of toilet paper. Or I needed something to start a fire with. That is how I feel about the actual Bible, the King James Version or whatever version you want to use. Books are mere paper. You can absorb the information from them and then wipe your ass with them because they're useless. And I grew up with enough crap from the Bible to know that I am not a Bible basher. Oh, well, I'm a Bible ass wiper. But I wouldn't even do that because the paper's too shiny, or, you know, I might carry a handful of tissues chucked into a Ziploc bag if I really thought I was going to get myself caught short, but otherwise I'll just use a handful of leaves, or failing that, I'll just go and wash in a stream after I've buried what has to be buried. I'm a naturalist. I'm a nature lover. And now, this is how I come to be here to toot my own horn, because I consider what I've done throughout my rants. I have probably way too many of them, and here's another one adding to the list. But if you look through the history of what I have brought logical, practical, everyday, doable solutions to the issues that surround us. What have I done? Let's start with number one: unemployment, homelessness, hunger, food shortage, clothing shortage. Well, that's part and parcel of them all. All these things I've come together. Global warming, problem solved. Fuel, problem solved. Free power and electricity, problem solved. Free transport, problem solved. The end of natural disaster, problem solved. Now, you think these are some pretty big calls I'm making here. If you go back right to my very, very first rant where I sat down and talked about how we may be within a dome, that's where it all began, because I was talking about domes years and years ago. One of the things I think I drove my ex-wife nuts about, as we'd be driving through these beautiful places here in the northern rivers of New South Wales, and here's me coming up with solutions to what I see with the chemtrail spraying and poisoning of our water, land, food, our bodies, everything, was to come up with a solution of building domes. Big, big domes. And my first thought was using plastic bottles, because I used to drink juice back then. You could blast them with hot air and mould them into a jigsaw puzzle shape, quickly lock them together like Lego pieces, and make a really big dome really quickly, really cheaply from recycled materials. And you've got instant protection from the elements, from the flooding, from the chemtrailing, from... well, the temperature is basically solved because it's insulated with that pocket of air. And all of a sudden, you don't really need to live inside a house, because you've got this massive, big dome protecting you, and all the moisture that used to be raining down on you is now just condensing around the inside edge of it and dripping down, running down, and to be collected as pure water sanitized by the sun. And you'd only need to introduce a bit of seawater every now and then to put some minerals back into it, which of course you'd evaporate that first, collect the minerals, filter out all the bad ones that you don't want, like the lead and the mercury and the arsenic and so forth, collect your silver and your gold and copper and things which are valuable, and put the good elements that we need back into it, which are essential to our everyday well-being. And in fact, you'd use those good quality ones like gold and silver and copper, make colloidal solutions, or for disease prevention. Now, that was the other thing I did. I produced a rant where I explained how you avoid or cure all disease. I have done all these things. Me, innocent, stupid, ignorant, dumb, flathead me, has actually given freely solutions to everything, free from disease. And I can also give you the key to eternal life. Not just by believing in the existence of a certain person, some figure from the past 2,000 years ago. And not from believing that I exist either, but from listening to what I say in my rants. How I've gone into great detail explaining how disease is pretty much local constipation of a part of your body. How our body produces tumours as a means of creating a safe storehouse for toxic elements until you give it the opportunity to heal itself. And the way you have the opportunity to heal is by stopping putting shit into your body. Just stop. Start eating raw, natural, fresh, living foods. That's all it takes. Well, no, it's far more than that. Because most of you are chronically ill. You've had a lifetime of eating dead animal shit. Stuff that has intoxicated you and made you sick in the head as well as the body. You get angry when you hear the truth, because that's how it works. The more of this pain and suffering you take into yourself, the more you're going to try and inflict it onto others. You haven't found peace within yourself, and you find peace within yourself by getting all this shit out. Flush it all out. I even shared something on my Facebook today. Today being the 18th, 19th of June, 2017. Check the date. And it's just a very simple quote by Professor Arnold Ehret, who was my first educator in natural health and healing, which I was fortunate enough to read when I was still only 16 or 17. So I've been living this with this knowledge for many years of my life. 30 of them actually. Come this Thursday, that's when I'm 46, so there you go. Natural foods. Even the Bible does mention it. Doesn't make a huge deal of it, but it does say in one of the commandments, thou shalt not kill. But to pluck a fruit from a tree is not killing the tree. To take some leaves from a herb is not killing the entire herb. To eat green-leafed herbs and seed-bearing fruits is not killing. It is pretty plain and simple. And if you want to eat seeds and nuts, then the most productive way, or nuts, and the essential way to eat them is to actually, store them, dry them out, even freeze them. That is one thing that doesn't hurt from being frozen, because that's part of nature. Seeds being buried in the snow. You don't have to freeze them overnight or 2 days, whatever. Then just soak them in some warm water, and then rinse the water, and then let them sit in the moisture, and then rinse them twice a day, drain the water out, and in about 3, 4, maybe 5 days, they will have fully sprouted. And then the amount of energy they have produced, the mass that they contain, with nothing but water, because the enzymes have been activated, become living enzymes again, instead of full of enzyme inhibitors, which means we have to produce our own enzyme. These things are now full of life, full of living enzymes, and their mass has increased by about 7 times from the original seed that it started as. Now you think about that. We take our grain and we grind it to get the flour out. We throw away the germ. We call it the germ, the wheat germ or something, even though we know how good that is for fibre and everything. And then we bake it into these dead flour products, which is why everybody's becoming gluten intolerant. But if you sprout the seeds, and then on about especially with wheat, it grows really fast. The 3rd or 4th day, it is sufficiently sprouted. Stick it out in the sun for a few hours to produce chlorophyll, which will turn the growing sprout green. And then you can mash it up into a paste, flat bread, flatten it out, roll it out, bake it in the sun again on a hot rock, flip it over at midday. You will have the bread of life. You only need this one little cake per day, and that is your daily bread. That's what basically Jesus was trying to educate people with. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. Well, our trespasses are the things we've done wrong, such as killing animals or eating their flesh or stealing the milk from their babies. They are our trespasses. Forgive us our trespasses and lead us not into temptation. Don't tempt us to eat this shit again. We don't need to eat crap. We need to control our desires, our wants and needs, and just eat our daily bread. That's all we really need. The other thing he showed was the grape juice, the wine. Now, wine is a way of preserving grape juice so you can drink it out of season, and you will get a bit intoxicated, but in small amounts it's really, really good for you. It's full of antioxidants, anti-aging. Aging is oxidization. Antioxidants, on the other hand, prevent aging, reverse aging. We can live forever. So here I am, a humble man, living in this horrible place now that is filling up with mold faster than I can keep on top of it because my dehumidifier broke down the other day. I used to have this dehumidifier running 24/7 and I'd be getting, up to 10 to 20 litres a day of water out of it. And now that it's busted, this whole house is just filling up with mould. And this is, again, why I've got to get my message out as quick as I can, because as much as I'm full of great ideas and inventions, actually being an engineer and making dehumidifiers is not my strong point. But the answer to the water shortage, the water crisis, is a dehumidifier running on solar power on every water tank on the roof of every house or attached to every house. You don't have to wait for rain to have your tank constantly topped up, free from the sun and the humidity in the air. Meanwhile, all this free water I was getting daily has run dry, but at least my electricity bill will go down now, because it's the equivalent of running a freaking air conditioner 24/7. So I've always got a huge electricity bill. Also run too many fish tanks, and of course the fish tanks are putting humidity back in the air, so everything, we've had nothing but rain for weeks and weeks and weeks, and fucking mould is showing up everywhere. I even had it on the frickin' doorknobs of everything in my kitchen just yesterday when I finally had a day to stop from work to see, and I spent half my frickin' day cleaning mould yesterday, but now today I discovered it's everywhere. Fucking everywhere. Mould. Such is life. So if I disappear in the near future because of some mould disease, because of this shit I'm breathing in, despite the amount of colloidal silver I keep attacking it all with, and a bit of helpful alcohol, at least I know I've shared a decent amount of information, vital information, free of charge, and I ask for nothing in return, except you just listen, pay attention, look at everything I've said, and realise I even showed how the pyramids were built, for fuck's sake, how I could build something the size of the Giza pyramid in 20 years with a team of no more than 20 or 30 people, easily. I've explained it all. If you want the answers, you have to dig deep, because that's what they did to discover that the earth is flat. And anybody that disagrees with that does so because they are indoctrinated with ideas with mathematics, with concepts, with theories, but they've got no practical knowledge whatsoever. Take a picture of the curvature and post it on the internet, and there are several people out there offering rewards of $10,000 and upwards if you can prove that the Earth is a globe. That's right. If you can personally prove the Earth is a globe, you can earn thousands of dollars. And, you're going to shut down millions of people now, because millions of people are waking up to the fact that the Earth is flat. And you people who are still sitting there like this wanker on the thread, still calling me a brainless fucking moron or whatever it is you're saying, an absolute fool, an idiot, because I know that the Earth is flat, you're going to be eating some humble fucking pie, dude. Because we know the truth. And we're not afraid to speak up for it because of idiots like you any longer. For too long now, you've been putting us down for saying the Earth is flat. Oh, you got to be the stupidest motherfucker in the world to think the Earth is flat. No, cunt. You're the dumb motherfucker, being indoctrinated with science and formulas and no proof whatsoever. In fact, I'm going to talk about this one again. I've explained it many times before, but here is the simple proof. We need to debunk the globe Earth. There's many other ways of doing it, but these are my 3 favourite things. A vacuum chamber. In a high school laboratory, most of them, or some of them, have a thing called a vacuum chamber. You could probably even buy one on eBay. I don't know. Go and have a look. Google it. Get yourself a vacuum chamber. It's a sealed glass, dome-shaped structure. And it sits flat upon a flat table where it can be sealed properly. And then you can put an object in it like a glass of water. And then, I don't know how they seal them. I've actually never seen the experiment done except on a YouTube or two. Seal it off. Turn the vacuum on to suck out all the air, and the water starts to boil at room temperature. All water will boil at the temperature it's at inside a vacuum. In fact, the first trainee astronaut who volunteered to go into this massive one that NASA built, a massive vacuum chamber, to test out their spacesuits to see how they'd perform in the vacuum of space. Well, he soon passed out, very quickly passed out once the vacuum was there, and the last thing he remembered was his tongue felt all tingly because all the water, the moisture on it was starting to boil. Plus all the other fluids in his body would have been as well, but the ones most exposed to what little air was left boiled. Now, it doesn't mean that they were super hot and burned you. Boiling and heat temperature are 2 different things when it comes to being inside a vacuum. So, we've got that one sorted. Water inside a vacuum boils. Number 2 is when you crack the vacuum, air instantly rushes in to fill the void. It's an inescapable fact of physics and observable science. You cannot deny that nature abhors a vacuum and whatever is available will fill it. Number 3, a spin dryer, where you put your clothes in to dry them. It works by centrifugal force. It spins the clothes and the water naturally gets forced outwards, and then by adding hot air to it as well, some heat, that allows it to happen even faster, and the moisture evaporates and it gets spun out, and then it usually gets sucked out to a tube, hopefully outside somewhere. They are 3 natural forces: vacuums, air filling the void the minute the seal is broken, and centrifugal force pushing things outwards. Combine all those three things on a spinning ball in a vacuum of space. You've got no atmosphere because there's no seal. You've got no water because it all instantly boils and disappears because there's no seal. You are left with a void, dry planet that looks like the moon. And that's what Earth would be if we were a spinning ball, spinning faster than the speed of sound through a vacuum of space. You cannot avoid those facts. So, to finish off this rant, all I will say is, yes, I have an answer for everything. Yes, I can give you eternal life. And yes, we are meant to live forever. We are meant to be creating heaven on earth. And yes, we can do it with a concentrated effort. First, we have to, avoid the elite. I don't think we can annul them. I don't think a violent revolution is necessary. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Maybe we can just come up with our solution and do it despite them. And now if they come and try and stop us, well, we've got the numbers on our side. And if they want violence, if they ask for violence and the only thing that will stop them is violence, then I've got some pretty good methods for that as well. Practical, easy to make, from basic plumbing materials, everyday common objects. We can create the greatest defense, and should we need to, we can create some more worm food, because the fish need to eat worms to create the food for us to clean our water through the aquaponics. So if they want to volunteer to become worm food for our new movement, yeah, thanks for volunteering. Otherwise you could join in and be part of the freedom, be part of heaven on earth. Why would you continue to sell your soul to the devil for money when you don't need money? Not in my world. All your needs are taken care of in my world. All I ask is for is a volunteer of a few hours a day. Or you might even want to do more because it's so much fun. And you'll have so much free time to do the things you want to do, to live the life you want to live, to be free, to be an artist, to create, to live forever in the world you'd want to live forever in. Not contribute to this world of destruction because you have to, just so you can make ends meet. That is the world the great deceiver designed deliberately to see how stupid we were, to see if we would fall for the trap, and we basically have. So this is where we say, this is the turning point. This is where we say, we're not playing your game any longer. We have a better idea, a much better idea. And instead of these plastic domes I was talking about, we can build them out of solid glass blocks that lock together like jigsaw puzzle Lego type pieces, and make massive domes that not even their bombs and fighter jets or anything could get through in the first place. That's why they can't escape through the firmament past Antarctica, because we're already in one. So we'll just create mini domes inside of it, and we'll lock them out as well. If they want to be archons, destructive, evil, satanic people convincing you of all their lies to enslave you? Let them. But we'll just be free. We will be free because the Flat Earth movement is the freedom movement of the 21st century. Mark my words.